Hello, and welcome to the 89th annual meeting of Catholic Social Services of the Miami Valley. We have so much to celebrate this year, and while we are hoping to be gathering in person for this celebration, we're grateful that you can still come together virtually with us today. As is the tradition at our annual meeting, we will take a look back at the impact our agency had with your support last year and provide a special kickoff for the historic 100th anniversary of our agency. We will recognize transitions of our board of directors, special anniversaries of our staff, and announce the recipients of our 2020 annual agency awards. Finally, you will hear directly from our CEO, Laura Resch, about this most remarkable of years at Catholic Social Services. As we do at all of our meetings, we will first begin in prayer.
Dear loving and gracious God, we thank you for all you do to support us in our times of need and for the many blessings you bring into our lives daily. Let us always remember that you are the guiding light to lead us to eternal salvation. As we gather together to celebrate another great year of wonderful work that the Catholic Social Services of Miami Valley has done for our community, let us pray for all of our clients, our agency leadership, all of our employees, and all of the benefactors who enable us to work to build stronger futures for individuals and families of all faiths. As we begin this year celebrating 100 years of service as an agency, let us always remember and pray for the generations we have impacted in our first 100 years and the generations we will impact in years to come. We continue to pray for an end to this pandemic and the lives it has impacted. Dear Lord, we ask you to continue to strengthen those in need, especially all the healthcare workers and those helping to keep our country safe. May the mission of Catholic Social Services continue to be blessed and supported, and may God bless you and all of your loved ones. Amen.
It gives me great pleasure now to introduce our outgoing chair of the Board of Directors, Kara Powers. Kara has served on the Board of Directors at Catholic Social Services of the Miami Valley for the past 6 years, and as our chair during 2 of the most challenging years in the history of our region. We were blessed to have her service to the board and welcome her now for the traditional passing of the gavel.
As I look back over the last 2 years as the board chair of Catholic Social Services, I am truly amazed by what I've seen. Change has happened so suddenly, and with each one, the organization, through its leadership, employees, and volunteers, has risen and met each challenge. When the tornado struck in May of 2019, Catholic Social Services had not experienced the opportunity to serve during the devastation of a natural disaster, but preparations started immediately, and our leaders researched and used external resources to get up to speed quickly to understand what our community needed in both the short and long-term contexts. Soon, in partnership with the Red Cross and other local agencies, we were seen as a leader in the long-term recovery plan for our region, and that work continues. As the coronavirus pandemic surged, our team started planning and quickly determined how the delivery of services could be changed in order to provide food pantry assistance, care for the elderly, and family counseling and visitation, even when social distance had to be observed. It was never an option to cease providing services. It was merely a matter of figuring out how to do it differently. Both of these devastating events could be viewed as negatives during my tenure as board chair, but I see them as shining examples of what makes Catholic Social Services a true beacon of hope in the midst of darkness. The mission of the organization is so strong that even the most unusual or difficult circumstances cannot derail it. Why, you may ask? It's the people. Our employees and volunteers do the work of the organization because they truly believe in the mission to strengthen individuals and families through the actions of faith, service, and charity. I want to thank each of you for your tireless efforts to serve the underserved and disadvantaged during times that were unimaginable. Thank you to Laura and her leadership team for demonstrating agility and optimism in the midst of so many unknowns. I stand in awe of your leadership and creativity. You never gave up, you just reinvented. And just look at what we know now. We can, in fact, hold virtual events like the Sentimental Journey instead of the Jazz Party and remain connected to each other. But don't worry, live events are coming back. I'm proud of my time of service and feel honored to have been given the opportunity. Sister Carol Bauer connected me with Catholic Social Services several years ago, and I consider it the greatest gift she could have given me. The future here is bright. Laura's team and the board, led by Dave Richard, is well positioned to take the organization into its 100th year. Our community is so very fortunate to have Catholic Social Services as a safety net of service for so many people. I am confident the next 100 years will bring many more blessings to those we serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara. I enthusiastically accept this gavel and all of the responsibilities that come with it. On behalf of the Board of Directors and the staff of Catholic Social Services, I'd like to recognize and thank Kara for her dedication to the agency over the past 6 years, the last 2 years as board chair. She is the only lawyer I didn't mind meeting many times per month, and I will miss her stories of growing up a Southern Baptist in her journey to become a Catholic. Your thoughtful insight and composed guidance will be missed. At this time, I would like to present a gift to Kara on behalf of the agency. For my first official duty as board chair, I would like to recognize board members that are both coming off the board and joining the board as of today. First, to our board members whose terms are ending: Matt Scar, CJ Sheff, and Kara Powers. These individuals have collectively given 18 years of service to the CSSMV board and have each made significant contributions. We thank each of you for your service to the board. We are thrilled to be welcoming 5 new members to our board of directors as well today. Those joining the board include Amy Regal, Karen Wendelin, Sister Suzanne Donovan, Brian Anderson, and Mia Caravan O'Malley. Now, sadly, the past year has been a tragic year for our entire world, and we have seen tremendous loss among our current and former board members. Please join me in a moment of silence in remembrance of those members we lost in the past year. Thank you. For the past 100 years, Catholic Social Services has delivered on the mission of strengthening individuals and families through actions of faith, service, and charity. Events of the past 3 years, including a local natural disaster and a global pandemic, has challenged the agency in where and how we have delivered our services. Laura and her staff have answered those challenges and will continue to evaluate and refine our services to our clients in the future. Our new logo, the infinity cross that is never ending, created by 3 lines representing the many generations of people we serve, will symbolize our continued commitment to serve others as Jesus would. I look forward to playing my part in leading this new century of service with expansion of current programs and plans for new and exciting programs in the near future. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Dave. And I think I speak on behalf of all of our staff and board when I say congratulations, and we are all excited for your term as chair.
Thank you, Dave.
Now, I would like to recognize those who impact the lives of our clients more deeply than anyone, our staff. Here in 99 seconds is a look back on the impact Catholic Social Services and our staff had in our 99th year.
One of the things that struck me that I think is going to continue to happen in the next 100 years is that we're going to continue to listen to what the community needs, and we're going to continue to be responsive to that in the best way possible.
I think our whole agency serves families very well. One of the things that's unique about our parenting program is that we're very focused on that relationship between the parent and the child, the next generation.
Our senior service programs assess and coordinate services for individuals. We served over 2,500 individuals last year.
I'm just proud of the essential work that we've done. You hear a lot about healthcare and other essential workforces, but social services are essential too.
We really do have a community in Dayton, both native-born and foreign-born, that are capable and willing to support families and individuals when they get here.
I love how the team comes together and works together. We definitely had to put our different hats on as case management and be more of an emotional support to families.
Irma's House provides supervised visitation and exchange services to families in crisis. Irma's House would not be able to operate without our volunteers. We couldn't do what we do without our volunteers.
In 2020, the mobility management team was able to educate and connect almost 250 individuals with education and resources to transportation in their communities.
I guess the greatest accomplishment and something that I'm probably the most grateful for is that we didn't let anybody fall through any cracks.
We didn't let anybody fall through any cracks.
Hi. I invite you throughout the rest of this event to leave messages either on Facebook or on our YouTube live stream. Our staff may not be able to hear your applause today, but you can still let them know how much they are appreciated. As is our tradition, we will begin by recognizing all of our staff who are celebrating anniversary years this year. Staff celebrating 5 years include Jefferson Alcott, Michelle Caserta Bixler, Nancy Dunn, Tara Frilling, Megan Godemiller, John Jackson, Alyssa Jacobs, Mike Lehner, Katrina Orndorff, Beth Pruder, Mary Reed, Mandy Ricks, and Elaine Seger, as well as Stacy Stapleton. Staff celebrating 10 years include Sheila Hood, Mary Lee, Jody Strope, and Jacqueline Swab. Staff celebrating 15 years include Cheryl Griffin. At this time, I would like to pass it off to our Director of Social Services, Mary Reed, and our CEO, Laura Resch, to help us recognize those staff members celebrating anniversaries of 20 years or more.
Thank you, Mike, and congratulations to all our staff celebrating anniversaries this year. Our first recognition is for 20 years of service for Shannon Warhoftig. Families are referred to Irma's House Family Visitation Center due to complex family issues such as domestic abuse, mental illness, and addiction. For the children visiting their parents who have had so much disruption in their family life, consistency is key for a feeling of safety and security. With over 20 years of service at Irma's House, Program Manager Shannon Warhoftig offers a steady presence that helps to create the program's feeling of stability. While 2020 brought unforeseen challenges for everyone, Shannon's skills in organization, planning, and her support of program staff and volunteers have allowed the essential work of supervised visitation to continue throughout the pandemic. Always willing to provide support where needed, Shannon even stepped up to assist our pantry operations when volunteers were restricted early in the pandemic. She's the type of leader and colleague that will always rise to the challenge presented and is truly committed to the mission of serving families. join me in congratulating Shannon Warhoftig for her 20 years of service to Catholic Social Services. Next on our list is another 20-year anniversary for someone who none of us could do without. Marcy Lump began her work with our organization first as a volunteer before Catholic Social Services even had an IT department. Marcy has been a full-time staff member for over 20 years now, and she has been a problem solver and leader in an ever-changing area of operation. Marcy worked on the very first client database for a program called Teen Parent Link, and since then has developed and implemented a comprehensive IT strategy for Dayton-based operations. We rely on Marcy for the little things that increase efficiency and the big things that protect client privacy, and so much more. Marcy is a quiet steward of the mission, providing a strong infrastructure so our organization can make the greatest possible positive impact in the community. Thank you, Marcy, for 20 incredible years of service. My final recognition for Dayton staff is particularly special. Sheila Wright Davis is being recognized for 40 years of service. In her 4 decades with Catholic Social Services, Sheila has been a consistent presence in our Dayton-based operations. Whether she is answering the phone, managing business operations in the counseling program, preparing case records, or greeting a visitor, Sheila has provided a warm welcome for staff, volunteers, and visitors. Sheila has seen much change and growth over 4 decades, and she has adapted with professionalism and grace to the changes in the workplace. We thank Sheila for her commitment to our organization and her kindness and warmth, which makes Catholic Social Services a more special place.
Thank you, Mary. And now I would like to recognize 2 of our anniversaries in the Sydney office. Shirley Burning has spent her 30-year career with Senior Services Passport Program, and she currently serves as a clinical manager. As an example of her dedication, she is out of the office today helping serve at a community-based COVID vaccination clinic. Shirley has always been reliable and supportive of everyone. When she's not working, she and her husband enjoy their large family of children and grandchildren. Her love of sewing has resulted in many embroidered blankets for CSS auctions and special events. Thank you, Shirley, for your incredible commitment to our mission. And our final anniversary recognition this year is for Kathy Geisey. Kathy has spent most of her 30 years at CSS in the Passport Quality Assurance Program. She has also worked with Senior Services in Dayton and taken on other responsibilities such as training and working with volunteers. Over the years, Kathy has become well known in the world of quality assurance for assisting providers with best practices and advocating for common sense rules. When not working, Kathy and her husband are busy keeping up with their activities of their large family of children and grandchildren. Please join me in congratulating all of our staff celebrating anniversaries this year. Staying with the theme of recognizing staff, it is my honor to kick off the awards segment of our annual meeting by starting with a brand new award we call the Excellence and Impact Award, and it will be given to one staff member each year. Our first awardee is Teresa Savor. Teresa has spent most of her 26 years at Catholic Social Services with the Senior Services Passport Program as a care manager and assessor. 2 years ago, Teresa transitioned to become program manager for Senior Services in Dayton. With the addition of Life Essentials, Teresa has been the glue keeping all senior services in Sydney and Dayton working together. In the words of Kathy Sell, Northern Office Director, if my family needed support or an assessment of an older family member, I would want Teresa by my side. She is kind, gentle, and understanding. She has gone above and beyond, especially throughout the pandemic, to visit our seniors and make sure anyone in need received food, utility assistance, and support. Thank you, Teresa, for exemplifying the true spirit of the work of Catholic Social Services, and congratulations.
Hello. And for our next award, we'd like to talk about a company that's near and dear to my own heart. At the beginning of the pandemic, CSS MV's food pantry faced a critical shortage of fresh bread. Big Sky Bread Company in Kettering, owned by St. Albert parishioners Philip and Mary Gallenstein, stepped up without hesitation to meet that need. They immediately began baking an additional 100 loaves of bread every day and continued to do so for more than a month, including on their usual days off. They never asked for anything other than enough advance notice so that they can bake again. Congratulations and thank you to Philip and Mary and Big Sky Bread Company, our 2020 Business Leadership Award winners. The Volunteer Lawyers Project provides opportunities for attorneys to perform pro bono civil legal services to benefit persons with limited financial resources. For the Life Essentials Guardianship Program, a contract with VLP means that a staff member going into a courtroom for a guardianship hearing can rely on having legal counsel with them to make sure the process runs as smoothly as possible. Even after guardianship of person has been awarded, issues can arise that call for legal representation on behalf of our client. VLP's role as a conduit to connect attorneys to pro bono clients is truly a win-win for both parties. CSS MV is proud to recognize Volunteer Lawyers Project with our 2020 Community Leadership Award. 26 years ago, a small but mighty group of women who named themselves the Opus Est, translated Work to Be Done, Committee, came together to support Catholic Social Services adoption and pregnancy support programs by hosting our annual jazz party. 2020 was to have been the 25th anniversary of the jazz party, but when it became clear that it wouldn't be possible to host an in-person gala, the Opus Est Committee quickly pivoted to creating the online Sentimental Journey, a collection of video interviews with program clients, volunteers, and staff to showcase what makes our agency so vital. Because of their creativity, commitment, and effort, we were able to host a unique online experience that raised enough money in 2020 to replace the critical support generated by the jazz party every year. Thank you and congratulations to our Opus Est Committee, recipients of the 2020 CSS MV Leadership Award. And now for our final award, our Rising Star Award. Being the first of any new endeavor can be both exciting and frightening. This year, 5 of Catholic Social Services refugee clients stepped up to the challenge of exploring their dreams of having their own businesses. Ali, Jean-Pierre, Alex, Sifa, and Luez became the first graduating cohort of the 13-week Refugee Entrepreneurship and Leadership Program at Be Hope. The program included 2 weeks of job shadowing and proved to be a real confidence booster for these students, who are now positioned well for their next steps towards entrepreneurship. We have no doubt that in the coming years, they will make strides in building better lives for themselves and for others in the community. CSS MV proudly recognizes them for their accomplishment with our 2020 Rising Star Award. Today, we mark the start of our 100th anniversary celebration, and I now welcome you to enjoy a brief look back at the past century of service for Catholic Social Services of the Miami Valley.
Catholic Social Services of the Miami Valley has been changing lives for generations. In the spring of 1921, Father Francis Gressel opened the first office of Catholic Charities in Dayton. The city and region were still recovering from a decade which saw the flood of 1913 decimate homes and businesses, the Spanish flu, which infected more than 50,000 Daytonians, and a surge of Catholic immigrants living in extreme poverty after fleeing Europe during the First World War. In its early years, the agency relied on volunteers to help it provide for child and family welfare, poverty relief, help for the aged and disabled, and Americanization for immigrants. In 1935, the first professional social workers were hired and began expanding services focused on families and children. This marked the first year Catholic Social Services began facilitating adoptions and finding suitable homes for children in foster care. During the post-World War II years, the agency became a support system for displaced families from Europe, helping them find jobs and housing while assimilating to a new country. In the 1960s, as political unrest and a changing moral pulse caused more people to feel stressed, Catholic Social Services became a pioneer in introducing counseling services. In 1969, the agency found its first permanent office when it took over the recently vacated convent of the Dominican Sisters of the Sick Poor at 922 West Riverview Avenue. This new space created an opportunity to open the food pantry and soon after a significant expansion of programs. In 1978, the footprint of Catholic Social Services expanded to the north with a newly opened location in Sydney, serving Auglaize, Mercer, Miami, Darke, and Shelby counties. A new preschool program was opened in the basement of St. James School and later relocated to the grounds of the Veterans Administration. In 1984, the Sydney office became one of 2 pilot sites for Passport, a Medicaid waiver allowing seniors to receive in-home services as an alternative to nursing home placement. Refugee resettlement work shifted its focus from Vietnamese refugees in the 1970s to people fleeing Bosnia and the Middle East in the 1990s. In 1997, supervised visitation at Irma's house began as a response to growing community concerns about child protection issues. 5 years later, the New Century Capital campaign was launched to finance the building of the Center for Families on Brown Street, a new home for Irma's house, and the majority of Dayton-based programs. In 2019, Catholic Social Services rose once again to the challenge of meeting a new critical need, long-term tornado recovery. While the programs and services have changed over the past 100 years, the mission of Catholic Social Services of the Miami Valley has remained the same.
I am so grateful to have the opportunity to work with such a talented, focused group of staff members, together with our board, our volunteers, our supporters in the community, have inspired us to be able to serve with such great devotion for 100 years now.
Providing help, creating hope, and changing lives.
From 1921 to 2020, what an incredible legacy. While we have been through so much throughout our first century, I'm sure that we will still be talking about 2020 100 years from now. It's impossible to reflect on 2020 without looking at it through the lens of COVID-19. And with the passing months of our new year, I recognize the gifts and strengths gained last year will propel us into the future with faith and confidence. The term essential worker was elevated into our public awareness, but at Catholic Social Services, we have always known that we're essential, even if we didn't know the technical definition in quite the same way. We knew that our services were critical and that the needs of the people we are blessed to support would not go away. In fact, those needs would become more challenging and more complex due to lost jobs, the move to virtual schooling, and the social and emotional impact of isolation. You've heard today about the success stories, the creativity, the focus, the partnerships, and the prayers that kept us operating and connecting with those we serve and the community. The reason we were able to adjust so successfully is because of our culture. It is written into our DNA to be humble, to work together, to discuss challenges and find solutions. We are an organization committed to best practices, to benefiting from accreditation reviews, to continuous quality improvement, and to embracing what we learn to move forward and achieve even greater impact, even as the challenges and issues of the time change. So how do we build on those successes now? We start by embracing again the fact that Catholic Social Services is essential, and our mission of service is timeless, and we zero in on what we see on the horizon. We know that in the state of Ohio, our population is aging. By 2030, Ohioans age 60 and older will make up over 26% of Ohio's total population. Our services for seniors, including passport care management, senior visiting, respite care, and guardianship, will be called upon to serve more people with the challenges of aging so our seniors can age in place and with dignity. We know that our children are hurting and experiencing behavioral health challenges like never before. The Ohio Department of Health reports that from 2007 to 2018, The number of suicides among youth ages 10 to 24 increased by 56%. The impact of COVID has amplified these challenges, but did not cause them. Our 2-gen approach to serving families is critical to first support the children, but then also strengthen and educate their parents and caregivers that we are all working with the same goals in mind, the well-being of our children. We know that the economic impact of COVID will continue to challenge our community, and we are well prepared to respond with supportive services to address basic needs like food and shelter. Through our leadership of the long-term recovery case management team, which served over 2,000 households since the Memorial Day tornadoes of 2019, we built capacity and added resources to be uniquely prepared to respond to those most basic needs. In 2021, we entered into a partnership with Montgomery County to distribute emergency rental assistance. Our goal is to increase housing stability, especially for families with children. And finally, we can see the crisis of global migration. While we can't solve every challenge overseas, we can continue to embody the Catholic social teaching principle to welcome the stranger. Our refugee resettlement program has been operating for over 60 years, resettling victims of ethnic, religious, or political persecution overseas to begin a new life in Dayton, Ohio. The refugees are a cultural asset, and study after study confirm that refugees are also an economic success story for America. Investments in refugee resettlement are returned to the community through entrepreneurship, the creation of jobs, paying taxes, and redeveloping neighborhoods. We have an incredible opportunity before us to build on our 100-year history of impact, to address new challenges as we continue to tackle issues which are systemic and long-term. Through the confidence we have in our staff, the energy of our volunteers, the visionary leadership of our board, the collaboration and support of our community, and our mission, which is rooted in the gospel call to serve, we are ready for what we can see on the horizon and what also may come as a surprise, like a tornado outbreak or a global pandemic. With God, all things are possible. Thank you for joining us today. We are excited about our next 100 years and invite you to join us in this journey.